The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode.
It's the summer of 93 at 30.
Welcome back to the Brandon Peters Show as we bid adieu to another week on the Summer of 93 at 30 series. Joining me today for the Music Video Companion series, I have from 92.3 WTTS in Indianapolis, where you can hear him every morning on your drive to work. It's Matt Pelsor.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello. And I should say returning to the show because
it was a long time ago.
In the early days of the show, even before I think we did before it even dropped. Because
oh, really? Was it before you would even?
I was when I was banking stuff to launch, and that was that was like episode 3 of the show. But you provided the trailer voice from Back to the Future.
Oh, that's right.
Trailer.
I wasn't even like a talking head guest.
Yeah. No, I was like, I need a good voice on here. And I was like, that could pull this off.
Is that all I've done? I haven't done.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't. I've done a lot of podcasts. I just didn't know if I had done yours yet. I guess not. Here we go.
I'm the liar who's like, yeah, I'll have you back.
The live debut.
He has a personality.
Yeah.
He's a human being.
Imagine that.
He's Matt Pelsor. So welcome on here. So let's talk about you, since you're debuting here in the summer of 93. Not as a child or anything, but just on the show.
I was 10 years old.
10 years old?
I turned 10 in the summer of 93.
Any like memories from it?
Not specifically. As being a 10-year-old, I don't know. I probably spent a lot of the days swimming in my parents' above ground pool, getting sunburnt, having a terrific tan. I had the best tans as a kid. Yeah, for a white dude from the Midwest, I could get tan because my mom only put sunscreen on me sometimes. And so my body had to find a way to adapt. And so I would get very, very tan.
Okay.
That's what would happen.
Post your pictures of your tan self if you can find them.
I mean, I didn't look like, it was like, where'd that boy from? No, but I was very tan for a white kid from the Midwest.
There we go.
To be sure.
So one thing I'm doing with the guests on the music video episodes, I'm asking them about the movies we talked about on the episode that dropped on Monday that precedes this one that me, Aaron, and Scott talked about for the episode. This week we talked about, and you get the biggest one of the summer, Jurassic Park. But we also talked about a movie called Equinox, Romper Stomper in Orlando. Have you seen any of those?
I mean, Jurassic Park.
Have you seen Jurassic Park?
Yeah, I see Jurassic Park. Actually, we saw Jurassic Park. We sat in the very front row at the local theater, the Gibson Theater in Batesville, Indiana. We sat in the very front row.
Casket Town.
Casket Town. That's where I grew up. Well, I didn't grow up in Batesville, but near Batesville, 10 minutes away from Batesville. Okay. And the Gibson Theater, right down the road from the offices of Casket Town, of the Casket Company, was this theater called the Gibson. It's still there. They still show movies, and it was like $4 a movie, and the place was packed for Jurassic Park. We sat down right in the front.
Yeah. Oh, so they were really big. Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
It was the first time I'd ever sat in the very front row. We were all excited. Oh man, it's gonna be great. And then it wasn't, because it was the front row.
Front corner, even worse sometimes. If you
you've done that?
I did. Well, I got stuck on that for a couple movies before back in the day, because you didn't get to pick your seat.
No.
But so I've had that. That's corner's worse. I did find a sweet spot one time in high school. So when the Star Wars special editions came out in 1997, and I had my driver's license and stuff, like I was going to see them. I didn't have my driver's license. Mom was dropping me off at the theater. But me and a friend, we would pick different spots in the theater to watch the movie from. And there was this theater, it had a middle big section and then it had 2 side sections. And we found that 8 rows up from the right side, and like not the 2 aisle seats, but the next 2 over, was a sweet spot to see a movie. It just like worked from there. And so we always got there, and nobody would go fight for those seats. You'd always know they were there.
I saw Jason X, not Freddy.
Oh, okay.
Jason X from the front corner, and it was terrible. I didn't want to go see the movie anyway, but everyone was like, yeah, but it was packed, and so we got front corner. Got the shaft.
Yeah, jeez. So anyways, since you've never been on, like, let's talk about you. for a moment before we head into this music video, which will be a live performance of Rod Stewart doing a cover of a Van Morrison song.
Oh, and I got stuff to say about Rod Stewart, but yeah, sure, why not?
Yes, let's go here. Like you are a morning you've been in radio for quite some time, but you've got
25 years now.
25 years.
24 years. 24. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Next year's 25. 1999.
99. Yeah. And you've been at WTTS for how many years?
2 years, a little over 2 years, almost 2.5 years.
Okay.
It was January of 21, mid-pandemic.
Oh, geez.
I mean,
a lot of
we're
people
still
switch
kind of,
jobs. Yeah.
Yeah. And before that, I hosted a talk show that was statewide. It was very fun. It was very nice, and a lot of great experience doing that. But man, it was a lot of work. Before that, I was like one of the afternoon news magazines, the people on NPR that are the local people reading the local underwriting and doing the weather and stuff like that. And I did that for Indianapolis and Lafayette. And then before that, took a little break and just did some voiceover. And so I did some voiceover for you at the beginning of this show.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Fun.
It was awesome. Always appreciate it. So I thought I was going to do many episodes like that Back to the Future when I started.
That was fun.
It was hell for me to edit and hell for me to put together because I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. I was like,
it's a lot of work to just do all that construction.
Well, yeah. And I had to make it sound like it was that movie with people who weren't from that time in that movie saying things that might sound like they're from that movie. Not easy. Like I spent hours combing through Freddie Prinze Jr. interviews to see if he sounded like George McFly, saying I magically found stuff. And then I put it all together.
I was amazed. Where did he find it? Did he incorporate AI to make this?
No.
God, it must have taken forever.
Oh, it did. I was like, when I first listened to my first cut, like I had like a tear coming to my eye. I was like, I did it.
I did it.
I'm like, I'm never doing it again. I'm never. So it didn't have the remake episodes, one and done, but it was people liked it when it first dropped. But I thank you for that because you were a very important contributor to it.
It was fun.
So your morning show, like, I mean, of course you're playing music, just talking about things in the morning, but I definitely like you, if you're not local here and stuff, I do like your Instagram account and the stories you post of like you talking like into songs and a little back, like that's a really cool way to put an additional spot on what you're doing in the morning rather than...
Since I've started doing those, and what you're talking about is I'll do like videos live straight from the mic. And if you want to follow, it's Matt Pelsor Radio on Instagram. And that's primarily where I do it, but I also do it for the Facebookers, but Instagram. And yeah, I've got this little audio interface thing that I plug into the headphone jack and it just takes my audio. And I'm like, I'm such a microphone freak. And so I'm like, if I'm on the radio, I might as well sound like I'm on the radio when I do these things. And so I do it. And yeah, I've had like 2 or 3 radio people be like, how do you do that? They're just like, just buy this little $100 thing and plug it into you can figure it out. Come on. But yeah, that's how I do those. And yeah, I just try to talk about daily life stuff. You know, I mean, you're a dad, your kids are a little older than mine. Mine are 5 and 3. So there's adventure abound. And I have 2 dogs who are characters, you know what I mean? They're all just characters in this life that I try to portray on the radio as just being totally boring and normal, but presented in a creative way. I've embraced wholesomeness.
There you go.
Yeah. 30s.
Yep. You got, like I was talking about in my recent episode where I was talking about my favorite films that came out 2022. Earnestness is like back in like movie culture, and I'm enjoying that.
Thank goodness for that.
Not all snark all the time anymore. Maybe it's the old me coming out, but I'm like, all right, like all my top films and a lot of people's top films coming out, like were earnest stuff, like Top Gun Maverick, like Avatar Way of Water, like all that stuff was just like, you know, emotions on your sleeves, just like earnest and not embarrassed about being that way.
There will never be another Reality Bites.
True.
As far as sort of somewhat unlikable characters being presented in this weird positive way.
Right. Yes.
You can't get away with that shit anymore.
No. You also you're also a little side thing about you. You talk about frequently stuff that you're cave dwelling. You've got a podcast.
Oh goodness, yeah. I'm one of those. They call them, a lot of people outside of the caving world call them spelunkers. But in the caving world, we say that cavers rescue spelunkers. because spelunkers are the people going in without any experience, maybe not enough gear, no helmets, not enough lights. And we call them spelunkers, and we're cavers. We have helmets. We have 3 sources of light, and it's really nerdy. But it's so, it takes a certain kind of person. And I guess I'm that person where I can crawl for, a half a mile on my belly, and it's wet and gross. And, I got rock at certain points, rock on my belly and on my back, and you got to squeeze through. It's not for everybody. It is not for everybody, but for whatever reason, I love it. And I got a lot of friends that do it. And so, yeah, I started this podcast in 2016 called the Caving Podcast, where I interview cavers. It's long form interview. And I just interview cave explorers, people who have been in places that have seen less traffic than the moon. So it's pretty cool. The caves are like the last frontier, really, when you think about it. We've had our feet touch everything, every mountaintop. We've been everywhere. Caves, last frontier.
Have you ever been to St. Louis and been to the City Museum?
Yes.
So I was like, Matt's got to be the most prepared guy for that place.
I spent part of my honeymoon at the City Museum.
Okay. That place is like, we took our kids there last year. I was doing it. I was so good. I was like, you know what? This is fun. This is a lot of work and stuff. And then we went back to the hotel, and like an hour later, I'm like, done for the night. Sorry, I can't move. It hit me hard. I was like, I'm old, and
that is a nap inducer.
Yeah. Oh, it's an awesome place though. So if you're ever in, they don't sponsor this podcast, but it is an ever-changing museum. It has no map. There's secret places in there. There's like hidden cafeterias, like all sorts of wild stuff. You just go in and find, like, I found like a skate park inside of it. There's like aquarium museum. There's a pinball right now. They have like a pinball museum inside of it. If you can find that, there's slides and all. It is incredible. But if there's a crack in the floor, crawl in it, because there might.
It's probably there for a reason.
Yes.
It's probably on purpose.
Yeah. It was great. I was looking for refreshments, and there was like this one stand with like only selling like pretzels, and it was this huge line. I'm like, I remember this gift shop, and there was a Post-it in the gift shop. It said, "Ask me, I know things." So I went back up the gift shop. I'm like, looking for something to drink. Somebody's like, go all the way to the top. I was like, okay. So I went and got my family, went all the way to the top. Nobody up there. There's like all kinds of options for snacks. There's beer taps. There's like adult slushy drinks. And nobody up there. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
That was good
and
stuff.
You just take it, and that's yours.
Yeah. So it was good.
It is an incredible place, though.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend it to anybody.
And you won't get dirty like a cave. So if cleanliness isn't your thing, you won't get dirty like a cave.
That's the thing about caving is you gotta buy clothes that you can wreck. Absolutely wreck.
Yeah.
Like, you're never gonna wear you're never gonna wear that Turkey Trot 5K from 2011 shirt outside of a cave again, because it's gonna look like garbage.
Yeah.
After you pull it through the cave. So the Caving Podcast, you can just find it wherever you get podcasts. I've been doing it since 2016 monthly, so we're up to like 70 some episodes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Look forward
it's a good time. It's a good listen. Pick the right one though. I won't tell you which one.
Gotcha.
Have to. Don't listen to the one with the 2 high school kids. It was boring. I'm just telling you. Yeah.
It wasn't lit, or I don't know.
I don't know what they were saying at that time, but it was just
anymore.
dumb. It was, I did most of the talking. I thought they were cavers. They weren't. They had been to a couple caves.
We were outside of one. It looked cool.
I had to vamp for an hour with those 2. Don't listen to that one. Any of the other ones, fine. Don't listen to that one.
I vaped for a moment and then said no. All right. Well, what we are here to talk about today is, have I told you lately? The single, it was deemed the leadoff single from Rod Stewart's Unplugged and Seated album. It originally appeared on his 1991 album Vagabond Heart. This is Stewart's second live album, which is a recording done at the MTV Unplugged special he had. Also, singles from that album were Reason to Believe, Having a Party, and People Get Ready. The special aired on May 5th, so it happened. We already went through that week on the show, but it peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Top 100. The album did, finishing at 22 for the year, going 3 times platinum. selling over 3 million copies. The song itself peaks at number 5 on the Hot 100 and spent 5 weeks at number 1 on the U.S. Adult Contemporary chart and certified gold. That special reunited Rod Stewart with his band member from Faces, Ronnie Wood. And yeah, so Rod Stewart here. Thoughts on Rod Stewart to begin with?
The interesting thing about Rod Stewart and this video. Let's talk about the song.
We really don't have a video. I know that this is a big song, but there's an opportunity I'll bring up here in a sec that I wanted to talk about with this episode. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So Rod Stewart has a very interesting video history. Did you know about this? That in the early days of MTV, like they introduced this idea of the music video essentially to the masses. People had done stuff like it, and there had been like features on other shows. Most of the time it was just the artist performing or lip syncing to the song. You know, they didn't like incorporate all this other stuff. Rod Stewart loved this medium when it first came out. Like videos, like the guy's an egomaniac, okay? And I say that in the nicest, most respectful way, but he's an egomaniac. Let's be real. So he loved the idea of making this video of the song and anything with the song. And in the early days of MTV, when MTV's clamoring for content, they had, I don't know, it was something like 40 some videos from other artists and 30 some videos from Rod Stewart.
Oh, geez. Okay.
So in the early days of MTV, there was a lot more there was a disproportionate amount of Rod Stewart videos in the very, very early day, the proto MTV stuff that was going on. It's like, we got this, and this from these artists, and crap load of Rod Stewart.
They're like, Rod, can we get a video? Which video?
Which one?
Yeah, which one?
I got a million of them. So it's funny to me that there isn't really a music video for this, because he was such a proponent of music videos, and he would do anything for a music video. I don't know if you've ever heard, let's see, Tom Petty covered it for Wildflowers, but they left it off the record. It was on the album. Shoot. I could look it up. I'm getting off on a tangent. Anyway, but Rod Stewart loved music videos, and so this one wasn't. Can I tell you, though, that this version of this song, Have I Told You Lately, is the one that I know best.
Yep.
Van Morrison version, no, nowhere near. That number 1 at 5 weeks on Adult Contemporary is why.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in this time, this window, if you went to a wedding, it was probably a first dance song, or like a mother-son, father-daughter dance. Like it was like just that slow song that could easily play at a wedding. Right before, years later when Casey and JoJo All My Life pops up, and that is every wedding for 10 years.
By the way, have you ever DJ'd a wedding before? Can I ask?
I have not. I've DJ'd like parties, and I've made playlists for things, but I never DJ'd a wedding.
Okay. Go and find, you don't have to do it now, but just sometime, and you listening at home, you go and find All My Life by Casey and JoJo, okay? And find the album version and hit play. Takes forever to get to the actual song.
Oh,
they do those weird crap at the beginning, baby, 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 baby. And when I was DJing weddings, before I learned to cue things up, listen and cue it up, I hit play on that because someone wanted to hear it. And it's like, God, what is happening? And everyone's like waiting around, looking at me like, DJ, what the hell are you doing? And I'm waiting for the intro of Casey and JoJo to get to it already.
That's
anyway.
That's like, because I'm sure they made a radio edit on that, which notably funny enough, like I
didn't have that one.
I had to screw up at my wedding, so I picked for my mother's son dance. I picked Blackbird by the Beatles, which my wedding
choice.
My wedding DJ guy was like, excellent. I've never that's a really good choice, man.
That's a choice.
And I was like, yeah, well, there's the fake out ending of that. And my mom and I was so nervous going up. We stopped and we're like, oh, and then it's like, oh crap, we got to get back together and finish the song out. I look like an amateur. So there's the opposite effect there, where the song sounds like it's ending, but oh nope, there's more. So
wait for the bird.
Wait for the bird. So yeah, there's that. But oh gosh, yeah, the wedding scene. So I'm sure this one, I'm sure I've heard it at a wedding, but this is the version I know. Like I was like, oh, this is a Van Morrison cover. Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like being a morning drive DJ in a AAA format, the adult alternative, Americana or adult album alternative, however you want to say it. I should know this, but when I, first started looking at this, when you sent me over the link, I was like, oh, I'll check this out. And then I started looking up stuff about the song. Oh, it is a Van Morrison song. Oh, I thought this was Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
From day one.
And I only thought it was from this live thing, but I thought it might have been, I don't keep up with the Rod Stewart discography or anything like that, but
yeah.
I was just like, oh yeah, okay. So that was an interesting thing that popped up. Basically, I mean, it's a live performance here. There's nothing big on that, but one opportunity I saw with this, and I'm going to talk to Matt because we both grew up, we're same age in this era, was the MTV Unplugged era.
Yeah.
Like that was a big
I'm so
deal.
glad you wanted to focus on that specifically because it was. And it was a time too, wasn't it, where MTV Unplugged was becoming so pervasive in the popular culture that a number, including this one, a number of MTV Unplugged performances were making it onto the radio and getting really regular airplay. I think one of the best examples is Layla, Eric Clapton's Layla from his Unplugged. Of course, Tears in Heaven was a big deal, but that was also kind of a bummer. And so Layla was like, oh my gosh, you hear this old Derek and the Dominoes song. And when he, there's that applause at the beginning where the crowd gets it like, oh my God, he's going to do Layla. And to me, that is the best version of Layla. Screw the Derek and the Dominoes version. It's Unplugged all day.
Oh yeah. And that Eric Clapton one, it was huge. It was the best selling of the Unplugged albums. It won 6 Grammys and it won Album of the Year and Record of the Year for Tears in Heaven. Like they gave a live album of the year. Like I can't think of that happening again. Yeah, it was great. I mean, that was
great.
That introduced me to Clapton at the time. Like I didn't know him. My aunt had that CD or I think she had the CD or cassette or something. And I remember hearing that, and that would be on TV, and I'm like, man, this guy's really good.
Yeah, I had always known about Clapton. Dad was a fan. My cousin was a huge fan. But then that was like, okay, all right, so this is a guy.
Yeah, and it's funny because like they would do things. It would change my mind about a band too. Like I believe when I turned and started liking Stone Temple Pilots was their MTV Unplugged, where Scott Weiland was in a rocking chair, and they debuted the song "Big Empty" there. And which was on the Crow soundtrack, but later on Purple, which actually I talked about that on an episode long ago. Like the Crow soundtrack came out, and then like 2 weeks later, Purple came out, which didn't give people much time to buy the Crow soundtrack for that song, so they could just wait for Purple. But I remember changing my mind about Stone Temple Pilots a little bit, liking them there. Like also Mariah Carey did an "I'll Be There" cover that was humongous.
That was big.
Yeah. Pearl Jam had one that was a big deal. That one was seen, loved, and then they yoinked it. Something Pearl Jam not wanting to be a part of MTV. They never aired that again, and then it got released on like a 20th anniversary of 10 or something like that.
Man,
so that's when they came back. And there was also this one cracked me up because I remember Oasis. When Noel Gallagher sat and did all the vocals because Liam sat watching like
that was so infamous. Like that was, I mean, look, you can say peak Noel versus Liam hatred time, and it could be any given moment during the Oasis, years. That one was a big one though. Like he just showed up and he's there. He's literally right there. He's like, I don't feel like doing it. You fucking do it.
He's in the shadows, just like watching this, like, you shouldn't be doing this. Like, we should have canceled or something like that. But yeah.
Oh, God. That one, I still can't believe that happened.
Yeah. And they kept cutting to him. Like, the MTV knew what they were doing. They're like,
they knew what they were doing. Like
sell the drama.
Sell it. Exactly. That was the right call.
Yeah. Sell it. Alice in Chains had a good one with, I believe, Flood was the big one from that one. I mean, it came off one of their albums, was already popular, but that performance.
And just recently for Record Store Day, the 1992 with Soul Asylum just dropped on 2-disc vinyl, and that one was really, really good too.
That was good too. Also, they're what was it? They didn't limit themselves. They weren't just rock bands. They had some interesting stuff. Like LL Cool J, De La Soul, and Tribe Called Quest did ones on there, and they had like little mini orchestra with horns and stuff to try to make the hip hop songs do unplugged and stuff. And that was kind of a neat attempt with trying to incorporate all kinds of music.
Yeah, well,
into-
to show that this can be done across genres.
And it's
And
funny. Oh, go ahead.
they're still doing them. You know that?
No, I
They're
didn't
still
know.
doing MTV Unplugged. It's just not nearly. It doesn't nearly have the cultural significance that it used to.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, it's funny. I read it started with Squeeze, Sid Straw, and Elliot Easton. That was the first 3 MTV Unplugged. I'm like, oh, but later
I can buy that.
Yeah, it attracts Aerosmith, Elton John, Sinead O'Connor, Poison, Joe Satriani, and Stevie Ray Vaughan to rap. So they did those 3, and those artists were like, I want to do one.
Satriani did one?
Yeah.
How could he? Did he have an electric guitar? I wonder.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, he's done some amazing stuff, but he's just one of those guitar people that guitar people know.
Yeah, I loved it. Like I would tune into MTV, but we have him Nirvana. It was like one of the last. Live, it was one of the last live television performances of Kurt Cobain. Last time he's seen, and All Apologies after that was everywhere.
Well, because it was, so much of that was his suicide note.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, hey, this is one of the last, but who knows if he knew. But and the interesting thing about that one, and I want to come back to the Stone Temple Pilots one too. The interesting thing about that one, and you probably already know this, is that it was up until moments before the thing started, it was unclear whether or not he was going to show up. Like
Kurt
Cobain showed up at the last second and was like, yeah, all right, let's go. And his bandmates didn't know, Dave didn't know, Kurt didn't, or Chris didn't know. They were like, we don't know. We haven't heard from him.
Well, they were on the verge of breaking up,
to be here,
right? Yeah, they were on the verge of breaking up. Or
they were on the verge, but they never quite did.
No, it never got there.
But it was clear that something was going on, and they were like, we don't know if he's gonna show up, because there was the whole thing where MTV wanted him to do Smells Like Teen Spirit. He didn't want to do Smells Like Teen Spirit. They just wanted them, and he was like, I want to bring the Meat Puppets on. And they were like, the Meat Puppets? Why do you want to? Because the Meat Puppets have great songs, and they do. And they did that one song. Can't remember which one. They did a few Meat Puppet songs, but it was a great choice by Kurt, a unique choice by Kurt. And yeah, I mean, that along with so many unplugs has got a lot of stuff behind it. The Stone Temple Pilots one, they were sick. They were like throwing up sick when they showed up at 6 o'clock in the morning. They're like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then the DeLeo brothers pounded out the dissonance the way they do.
Yeah. That was it was incredible. Yeah, that's just how they were. And that Nirvana one left behind something far more interesting than if they just went and played the hits. Like there's a lot of unique covers. Man Who Sold the World, people love that version. And they have a lot of their unique songs. They did what Come As You Are, Polly, and one other major hit, maybe, because I think All Apologies became big after that. But he did what he wanted, and he did that too. Like I remember the Saturday Night Live, he wanted to play Rape Me on there.
Yeah,
and they said no. And he went to a sound check. He wanted to play it. They said no. And then when they went the first performance, he played the first couple chords of it, and then they went into.
He did that at the MTV video, the VMAs too.
Oh, it was the VMAs.
He did the same thing. Well, it might have been Saturday Night Live too, but it was at the VMAs. I know when he did that.
Okay.
But it might have been the other one too. Yeah, I mean, he did. There's so many good ones. Lake of Fire.
Yeah.
The Meat Puppet song.
Yeah. They were. Yeah, it was a good one. I mean, those MTV Unplugs, they were something to check out.
It was the Bleach song, About a Girl.
Oh, About a Girl. Okay,
it was the Bleach song that was. It was like, oh, that's something in the first record.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, they had. They also, one of the unique ones was Shakira did an all Spanish one. And this was before she broke out as a pop act. When she was in the 90s, she was more compared to like Alanis Morissette than she was. And then when she broke out here, it was like Hips Don't Lie and all these like pops. I'm like, okay, she had blonde hair now, and hey, she made her career out. I mean,
her Laundry Service album, it used to be a guilty pleasure of mine. Gotcha. I used to have it on a lot. I think I probably still have it.
It's just
stack.
a pleasure. There's no guilt in it. There's just a pleasure. It's just a pleasure. So anyway, yeah, that MTV Unplugged. Rod Stewart, this same year, he would have the hit song "All for Love" with Sting and Bryan Adams from Three Musketeers soundtrack.
Yeah.
Three Amigos there.
Great choice too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Bryan Adams, It was Bryan Adams, right?
Bryan Adams and Sting, yeah.
Yeah.
Who he's with on that
So
one.
many
Yep.
movie soundtracks, Bryan Adams.
Yep, everything I do it for. Yeah, he was crushing it there. He's finding a second wind there with those movie soundtracks. Yeah, we have there.
What was it? He did Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves too.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, Brian. But yeah, that'll wrap us here for this one here. With Rod Stewart. You can go watch the Rod Stewart on YouTube or something like that. And
and I love the moment in the video too, where you get the very quick, brief shot. You hear the classical guitar solo, and you get the real brief shot of the guitar guy. They're like, all right, we understand that you, the viewer, want to see where this guitar solo is coming from.
Yes.
But once we show you, you're going to wish that you hadn't wanted to know who was doing it, because the guy looks crazy with the hair, and he's making the guitar face. It's like they cut to him. It was some live director like, okay, cut to the guitar guy. Too scary. All right, back to Rod doing nothing.
Camera one. Close up. Camera one.
All right, guitar guy. Enough of that guitar guy. Let's get the fan giving Rod Stewart flowers.
Yeah. Rod Stewart. Yeah, back then, like, I don't know. I guess I saw him as like not my kind of, like, I don't. His stuff. I remember him being the guy like, oh, Rachel Hunter's with that guy, that old guy. Oh, but
he drives Ferraris, but he does pick up trash in rural England around his house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, picks up. Well, he picks up trash. He fixed a pothole because it was going to damage his Ferrari.
Of course.
He called the city, and they were like, "We'll get to it when we get to it." And he's like, "No, I want it done now." And so he went out there with his friends and fixed a pothole with some hot asphalt.
It's amazing what people do with their cars. I had one of my bosses in Los Angeles when I lived out there. He bought a Lotus. He lived in a neighborhood in the hills, and the neighborhood in the hills decided to put in speed bumps, big speed bumps that his Lotus could not go over. So he had to have it towed down to the bottom every time he would drive.
Oh my God. That sucks.
He could afford it, but it was so funny. Like, yeah, the speed bumps would have just done major damage to the bottom of the car. So
I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh at that.
So all good. But that'll wrap us up here, Matt. You'll be back here in actually a pair of weeks for another one of these. So in the meantime, let people know again where they can keep up with you.
Okay. Yeah. Instagram is the best place. Instagram, Matt Pelsor Radio. That's MattPelsor Radio. And thank you so much for having me on. This has been so much fun. I can't wait to do the next one.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Brandon4KUHD, written work on WhySoBlue.com. Come back Monday as Scott, Aaron, and I will be talking Last Action Hero, Once Upon a Forest, and What's Love Got to Do with It, as well as all the pop culture on that week as the summer of 93 at 30 continues.
It's the summer of 93 at 30.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios, and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at BrandonPetersShow.com. The show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.